The restaurant was quiet except for the soft clinking of silverware and the low hum of conversation. Evening light filtered through tall windows, making the polished wooden floors shine. The air smelled faintly of baked bread and freshly brewed coffee, a comforting mix that made the place feel alive and welcoming. Anna, a young woman in her 20s, moved carefully between the tables, carrying a tray loaded with drinks. Her uniform, though clean, was simple and worn, showing the signs of long days of hard work. Every step she took was careful, measured, but there was a natural grace in the way she balanced the tray and smiled politely at the guests. Despite the fatigue in her bones, she carried herself with dignity, determined not to let the stress of her job show. She had been working at the restaurant for almost 3 years now. Most days were exhausting, but she had learned to handle difficult customers with patience and a smile. She knew that some people could be unkind, and she had grown used to facing judgment and scorn with calmness. Tonight, however, she sensed that she would encounter a challenge unlike any she had seen before. The door to the restaurant opened with a soft chime, and a woman walked in with an air of authority and elegance. She was tall, dressed in a designer outfit, and her every movement seemed to command attention. With her came a small group of friends, each equally well-dressed and seemingly prepared to enjoy the evening at the restaurant. Without a care in the world, Anna noticed them immediately. There was something sharp and cold in the way the woman scanned the room, her eyes landing on the staff with a mix of curiosity and judgment. Anna felt a flicker of unease, but she straightened her posture and continued her work, focusing on the table she had been serving. She had learned to stay professional, no matter what attitude a guest brought with them. The rich woman approached the table with a self-assured smile. Though her eyes carried a hint of condescension, Anna greeted her politely, offering menus and asking if she would like something to drink. The woman's smile did not soften. Instead, there was a slight curl of amusement at Anna's careful tone. "Well, aren't you precious?" the woman said, her voice light but filled with mockery. "I don't usually see someone working this hard just to stand behind a tray. Don't you get tired of serving people who clearly have more taste than you do?" Anna paused for a moment, choosing her words with care. "It's part of my job," she said softly, keeping her voice even. "I enjoy making sure our guests are comfortable and happy." The rich woman laughed, a sound that cut through the quiet of the restaurant. "Enjoy, honey. You must be joking. I could never do what you do. It's funny, though, to watch someone like you pretend that smiling at strangers makes life better." Anna felt a twinge of hurt, but she kept her expression calm. She had heard similar comments before, but something in this woman's voice was sharper, more dismissive. She handed the drinks to the table carefully, not letting her hands shake. She could feel the eyes of the other diners noticing the interaction, but she refused to let embarrassment take hold. The rich woman's friends giggled quietly, clearly entertained by her remarks. She leaned slightly closer to Anna, as if to make her feel even smaller. "Do you even get time for yourself? Or is this your whole life smiling and serving, pretending to be happy while the rest of us live real lives?" Anna swallowed and forced a small smile. "I manage, thank you. Everyone has their own path. Mine just happens to be here right now." Her words were calm, but inside, a storm of emotion swirled. She felt frustration, sadness, and a sense of unfairness. It wasn't just about the woman's words. It was the attitude, the way she seemed to think that money and status made her superior to anyone who worked hard for less. Anna had learned that dignity was more important than winning every battle, and so she continued her work quietly, determined to do her job well, despite the humiliation at a nearby table. A man in a tailored suit observed the scene with quiet interest. He was older, confident, and his eyes held a sharp intelligence. He watched the exchange between Anna and the rich woman, noting the difference in their attitudes. While the rich woman mocked, Anna remained composed and professional. There was a subtle strength in her, a quiet resilience that caught his attention. The man, a billionaire who rarely visited public places without being noticed, leaned back slightly in his chair, pretending to review his tablet, but he didn't look at the screen. He was intrigued by Anna's poise and by the rich woman's arrogance. He wondered what had led the woman to think that mocking someone else could bring her joy. He also wondered how often people like Anna faced this kind of treatment, and how they managed to stay kind and professional despite it. The rich woman continued her commentary, oblivious to the observer. "I just can't understand it," she said, her voice carrying a mixture of disbelief and condescension. "You work so hard for so little, and yet you act like it's an achievement. Isn't it exhausting to have such a small life?" Anna, though her heart ached, maintained her composure. "I find satisfaction in my work," she said softly. "It's not about what I earn or how others see me. It's about doing my best and helping others enjoy their experience." The rich woman looked at her, blinking in surprise as if she had not expected a response like that. Then she laughed again, sharper this time. "Well, that's cute," she said. "Really cute. But you have to admit, life is more fun when you're not serving everyone else. Don't you want more than this?" Anna paused, thinking of the long hours, the exhaustion, the bills she had to pay, and the dreams she held quietly in her heart. She wanted more, yes, but she also knew that respect and kindness were not measured by wealth. "I do have dreams," she said carefully, "and I'm working toward them. But right now I'm focused on doing my best here. That's enough for today." The rich woman tilted her head, clearly puzzled by the calm in Anna's voice. She was used to people cowering or stumbling under her remarks. Here was someone who did not flinch, someone who faced her arrogance with quiet dignity. It was almost unsettling, and for the first time, she did not feel entirely in control. The billionaire continued to watch silently, his interest growing. He noticed the subtle ways Anna maintained her balance on the floor, the way she managed multiple tasks without seeming flustered, and the gentle way she treated each guest as if they mattered. It was a rare kind of strength, one that could not be bought or faked. As the evening progressed, the rich woman's jabs became slightly less frequent, though her amusement remained. She could not quite understand why Anna's composure remained unshaken. The waitress moved efficiently between tables, her movements graceful, her smile polite. She did not speak to the rich woman, except when necessary, yet her calm presence seemed to quietly challenge the arrogance before her. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the rich woman waved for the check, her friends following suit. Anna handed her the bill with a polite smile, careful not to let her emotions show. The woman glanced at the total, scoffed softly, and tossed a generous tip onto the tray, not because of respect, but because she could afford it, as she left. The billionaire rose from his table and approached Anna quietly. "You handled that very well," he said in a low voice, full of genuine admiration. "Most people wouldn't have had your patience." Anna blinked, surprised by the sudden compliment. "Thank you," she said softly. "It's not always easy, but I try to stay professional." The man nodded, his expression thoughtful. "It's rare to see someone stay so composed under pressure. You have a quiet strength. I wanted you to know that it doesn't go unnoticed." Anna smiled, a little shyly, feeling a warmth of appreciation that she had not expected. For the first time that evening, she felt seen not for her job title or her social status, but for who she was and how she carried herself. It was a small victory, but an important one, and it reminded her why she worked hard every day. As the evening came to a close and the restaurant's lights dimmed, Anna continued her work, moving among the tables with steady hands and a gentle smile. The rich woman had left, but the encounter lingered in her mind. She knew that there were people in the world who would judge her based on wealth or appearance, but she also knew that her worth was not determined by their opinions. The billionaire watched her for a moment longer before returning to his table. He had seen enough tonight to be intrigued, enough to know that there was more to this young woman than anyone around her could see. There was potential, resilience, and a quiet determination that made her remarkable in ways that money and privilege could never match. Anna finished her shift that night, tired but proud. She walked home under the soft glow of streetlights, feeling a strange mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. She had faced arrogance and ridicule, yet she had remained true to herself. And in the quiet moments of reflection, she knew that this evening was only the beginning of something she could not yet understand, something that might change her life in ways she had never imagined. The following day, the restaurant felt different. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows, reflecting on the polished surfaces and casting a warm glow on the tables. Anna arrived early, as usual, tying her apron with practiced hands and checking the orders for the day. She had barely had time to reflect on the events of the previous night, but the memory lingered in her mind. She remembered the arrogance, the mocking words, and also the quiet admiration from the man who had been observing her. Something about him had felt different, like he had truly seen her. The restaurant was slowly filling with customers when he appeared again. The billionaire, as Anna had come to recognize him in her thoughts, entered quietly. He carried no entourage and seemed to want a simple breakfast. Anna noticed him immediately, but said nothing, keeping her attention on her duties. She had learned over time that keeping composure in front of influential people was just part of the job. He nodded at her when he sat down, a small smile forming on his lips. It was not the smile of a stranger greeting another, but of someone who had observed deeply and wanted to connect without forcing it. Anna felt a slight flutter of curiosity. She wondered why he had come back. Was it coincidence, or had he been thinking about her too? As she approached his table to take his order, he spoke first. "Good morning," he said warmly. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." "Good morning," Anna replied politely, returning the smile. "Not at all. I'm happy to help." He asked for a simple breakfast and a coffee, nothing extravagant. As she placed the order and set the table, he watched her carefully. He noticed the careful way she wiped down the surface, the gentle nod she gave to another customer passing by, and the way she maintained her patience despite the bustling crowd. He saw what he had seen the previous evening, the quiet strength that refused to break under pressure. When she returned with his coffee, he gestured for her to sit across from him. Anna hesitated for a moment. It was unusual for a customer to invite a waitress to sit with them, but there was something in his demeanor that felt sincere and not threatening. She took a deep breath and sat down, keeping her posture straight but relaxed. "I wanted to talk to you," he said quietly. "About last night?" Anna felt her heart skip a beat, unsure what he meant. "About last night?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "I noticed the way you handled a difficult situation. Most people would have reacted differently, but you remained calm and professional. I want to understand how someone as young as you carries herself with such dignity." Anna was surprised but grateful. It was unusual to hear someone speak so sincerely. "Thank you," she said softly. "I've had to learn patience. Life isn't always fair, but I believe the way we handle challenges says more about us than the challenges themselves." He nodded thoughtfully, impressed by her words. "You have a perspective that most people don't. It's rare to see someone work hard and maintain grace under pressure. I've observed people like the woman last night, and they often think wealth gives them superiority. Yet here you are, showing that respect and dignity are far more important than money." Anna felt a small warmth spread through her chest. No one had ever spoken to her like that before, recognizing her efforts without judgment. She shifted slightly in her seat, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "I try to treat people with respect," she said quietly, "even when they don't return it. It's not always easy, but it's worth it." The billionaire leaned back in his chair, studying her. "You have an inner strength that I rarely see. It's more valuable than any wealth, more lasting than anything money can buy. I wanted you to know that someone notices and appreciates it." Anna nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. It was a small recognition, but it felt monumental. She had spent years working tirelessly, often feeling invisible. And here was a man who had actually seen her for who she was. "I also wanted to discuss something else," he continued. "It's about the woman who mocked you last night. Her attitude is not uncommon among those who have never faced real challenges. They don't understand what it means to work hard, to struggle, or to persevere. They assume life comes easily to everyone. I think it might be an opportunity for her to learn something important." Anna blinked, unsure how to respond. She had never wished ill on anyone, even those who hurt her. "I don't know if that's my place," she said. "I just try to do my job and treat everyone with kindness." He smiled gently. "Of course, and that's exactly why you're remarkable. But sometimes people need guidance to understand lessons they have never learned. I have a way to offer that guidance, and I think it could be interesting." Anna listened carefully as he explained his idea. He didn't want revenge, nor did he want humiliation. He wanted the rich woman to experience life differently, to understand effort and respect. His plan was subtle and deliberate. He wanted her to spend time in a service role, to experience firsthand the challenges that come with hard work and humility. At first, Anna was taken aback. It sounded like something out of a storybook, almost unreal. "Do you really think she will agree to that?" she asked quietly. "She seemed very certain that she is above people like me." The billionaire chuckled softly. "Perhaps. But sometimes people agree to unexpected things out of curiosity, pride, or challenge. The point is not whether she agrees willingly, but that the experience will teach her something she has never understood. And I believe that seeing you handle challenges with dignity will be an essential part of that lesson." Anna considered his words. She was nervous, yes, but also intrigued. She had never imagined her work could inspire someone to teach a lesson, much less someone with so much influence. There was a weight of responsibility in knowing that her demeanor might have an impact beyond the restaurant floor, beyond her own life. Yet she also felt a quiet determination. If her strength and patience could help someone learn humility, then she wanted to be part of that process. "I understand," she said finally. "I'll do my best to show her what it means to be respectful and hardworking. That's all I can do." He nodded approvingly. "Exactly. You are already showing the lesson simply by being yourself. No one can teach respect and patience better than someone who lives it every day." The conversation shifted naturally, moving to lighter topics. He asked Anna about her life, her dreams, and what she hoped for in the future. She spoke of small goals and bigger ambitions, carefully choosing her words. She explained how she saved what little she could, how she wanted to continue her education, and how she hoped one day to own a business of her own. He listened intently, asking thoughtful questions, never interrupting, never judging. For Anna, this was a rare moment. She had spent so much of her life serving others that few people had asked her about her own hopes and dreams. She felt a quiet joy in speaking honestly and being heard. It was validating, empowering, and she realized that someone truly believed in her potential. After some time, the billionaire rose from his chair, placing a kind hand briefly on her shoulder. "Thank you for speaking with me," he said sincerely. "You've given me a lot to think about. I believe the woman from last night will have a chance to learn an important lesson soon. You may not see it yet, but your strength will play a role in something bigger than this moment." Anna nodded, feeling a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. She returned to her duties, serving customers and attending to tables. But now there was a spark of something new within her. She felt recognized, empowered, and quietly excited about the events that might unfold. Throughout the day, she couldn't help but glance occasionally at the table where he had been sitting. The restaurant bustled around her, but her thoughts lingered on the idea that perhaps this one encounter could change more than one life. She carried herself with renewed confidence, her smile genuine and her step steady. She had been seen and acknowledged, and it had sparked a quiet determination to continue facing challenges with dignity, patience, and grace. As the sun began to set and the restaurant prepared for the evening rush, Anna reflected on the conversation. The idea that the rich woman might experience life differently filled her with cautious hope. She did not wish for humiliation or shame upon anyone, but she felt a sense of purpose in knowing that her composure and kindness could serve as an example. The day ended with a mixture of exhaustion and fulfillment. Anna walked home under the soft glow of streetlights, feeling that the world, though full of challenges and judgment, also held moments of recognition, understanding, and the chance to inspire change. The encounter with the billionaire had been unexpected, yet it had sparked a new sense of possibility in her life. Possibility that the next days might bring lessons and growth for everyone involved in ways she could not yet imagine. The rich woman arrived at the restaurant a few days later, dressed impeccably as always, with a group of friends who giggled quietly as they noticed her arrival. She carried herself with the same air of superiority, expecting admiration and service without effort. But this time, there was something different. There was a subtle tension in her steps, hint of uncertainty that she didn't fully recognize in herself. Anna noticed her immediately. same calm smile on her face as she approached the table. She had heard whispers from colleagues about the rich woman's frequent visits and remembered the previous encounter. But she focused on her duty, greeting the woman politely and offering the menu. There was no hint of judgment in her tone, only the professionalism and kindness that had always defined her. The rich woman glanced at her and smirked. "Back again, are we?" she said, her voice carrying a mix of mockery and amusement. She expected Anna to feel intimidated or uncomfortable, but Anna simply nodded politely. "Yes, welcome back. Can I get you something to drink?" For a moment, the rich woman was taken aback. She had expected hesitation or nervousness, but instead, she was met with calm efficiency. She waved at Anna dismissively, ordering coffee and a pastry, as though the encounter meant nothing. But inside, she felt an unusual flicker of unease. There was something about Anna's quiet strength that unsettled her, as Anna returned with the order. The billionaire appeared at a nearby table, as if by chance. He greeted the rich woman with a polite nod, and she returned it stiffly, her usual confidence tempered by the awareness that she was being observed. The billionaire smiled knowingly at Anna, and she felt a quiet reassurance. He had said there would be a chance to learn, and now it was beginning. After a few moments, he invited the rich woman to join him for a private conversation. She hesitated, curiosity and pride warring within her. Finally, she agreed, thinking that she could assert her superiority and perhaps enjoy a bit of amusement at someone else's expense. Anna watched silently from a distance, continuing her work, but aware that something significant was unfolding in the private corner of the restaurant. The billionaire spoke calmly. "I have a challenge for you," he said. "It's not about punishment, but about understanding. I want you to experience something you've never faced before." The rich woman raised an eyebrow. "And what would that be?" she asked, trying to mask her nervousness with sarcasm. He leaned forward, his expression serious. "I want you to spend a week working in a service role. You will perform tasks similar to what Anna does every day. You will wait on tables, interact with customers, and manage the work that she handles with such grace. You will not use your wealth or influence to make it easier. You will experience the challenges firsthand." The rich woman laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. "You expect me to do what? Serve people? Work like a common employee?" She tried to hide the uncertainty in her voice, but a flicker of fear betrayed her. "I'm a busy person. I don't have time for this." The billionaire's tone did not waver. "This is not about punishment or inconvenience. It is about learning something you have never understood. You will see what it takes to serve others, to work hard, and to maintain dignity in challenging situations. It may teach you empathy, patience, and respect." The rich woman looked down, fidgeting slightly. She did not want to admit it, but the idea of going through the week as a waitress, facing exhaustion and judgment, made her uneasy. Pride battled with curiosity. Finally, she said, "Fine, I'll do it. But only to prove that it's easier than you think." The billionaire nodded. "Very well. Anna will guide you. She has experience, patience, and knowledge that will help you understand the reality of this work. Pay attention and learn." When the rich woman returned to her table with her friends, she tried to act as if nothing had happened. But the tension was visible. She was no longer the carefree observer. She had agreed to a challenge that would push her far beyond her comfort zone. Her friends, unaware of the conversation, continued to laugh and chat. But she felt a quiet storm of apprehension building within her. Anna approached the table with a calm demeanor. "You will be starting tomorrow," she said softly, her eyes meeting the rich woman's. There was no condescension, no judgment, only a quiet authority that came from experience and patience. "I will guide you through the tasks, and I will be here to help when it gets difficult." The rich woman nodded stiffly, attempting to hide her nervousness. She had expected resistance from Anna, perhaps an attitude or complaint, but instead she was met with kindness and understanding. It was unfamiliar, and it unsettled her more than any mockery could. The next morning, the rich woman arrived at the restaurant, dressed casually, but still carrying an air of unease. Anna was there early, ready to guide her through the day. She explained the basics of the work, from taking orders to serving food to handling complaints. The rich woman tried to maintain her confidence, but every task felt heavier than she had imagined. The trays were awkward, the orders confusing, the customers impatient. Anna stayed close, offering advice and encouragement. "Take it slow," she said gently. "Focus on one thing at a time. You will get used to it. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about effort and patience." Throughout the day, the rich woman struggled. She spilled drinks, dropped utensils, and faced complaints with little experience to handle them. Anna remained patient, never raising her voice, never mocking her. She simply guided, corrected, and encouraged. By the end of the day, the rich woman was exhausted. She sat down for a moment, trying to catch her breath, realizing that this work required far more than she had ever imagined. Her pride had been shaken, and with it came the first hints of humility. She glanced at Anna, who smiled gently, and felt a pang of respect for the young woman who had carried herself with grace despite ridicule. The billionaire, observing quietly from a corner, felt satisfaction. The lesson had begun. The rich woman was beginning to understand that patience, effort, and dignity could not be bought, and that true strength lay in perseverance. Anna had played her part, guiding with kindness and wisdom, showing the value of respect through example. As the week progressed, each day presented new challenges. The rich woman began to notice details she had never considered: the exhaustion after long hours, constant attention to detail, the need to remain polite even when treated unfairly. She grew more aware of the complexity of Anna's work and the patience required to perform it with grace. By the middle of the week, the arrogance that had defined her demeanor was slowly giving way. She began to approach tasks more carefully, listen to advice more attentively, and treat customers with genuine effort rather than annoyance. She even began to look at Anna not with envy or scorn, but with curiosity and admiration. There was something remarkable about the way she moved through the work, the quiet strength she displayed despite the challenges. Each evening, Anna and the rich woman would debrief quietly. Anna would offer feedback, gentle encouragement, and insight into handling difficult situations. Slowly, a subtle bond formed between them, based not on social status or wealth, but on shared effort, mutual respect, and the understanding that hard work could teach lessons no amount of money ever could. By the end of the week, the rich woman was transformed, not completely, but enough to recognize the value of patience, humility, and respect. She had faced exhaustion, mistakes, and judgment, yet she had persisted. She had learned that life was not about mocking others or flaunting wealth, but about understanding effort, dignity, and the challenges faced by those who worked tirelessly without recognition. Anna, observing this transformation, felt a quiet pride. She had remained true to herself throughout, and in doing so, had guided someone toward a lesson in empathy and humility. She realized that kindness, patience, and integrity were not just virtues for personal growth. They could inspire change in others as well. The billionaire, satisfied with the outcome, knew that the lesson was taking root. The rich woman had experienced firsthand the challenges of hard work, and she had begun to understand the value of respect, patience, and dignity. It was a beginning, a moment of growth, and a chance for a future built on understanding rather than arrogance. And as Anna continued her work, she realized that her quiet strength had made a difference not just in her own life, but in the life of someone who had much to learn. By the fourth day of her experience, the rich woman had begun to feel the full weight of the work she had so icily dismissed before. Every task required attention, energy, and patience. She woke up early, long before the sun rose, to prepare for a day of serving tables, cleaning, and managing orders. Her body ached from the unfamiliar labor, and yet, despite the exhaustion, she noticed a change within herself. She was beginning to see the world from a different perspective. Anna was already at the restaurant when she arrived. She greeted the rich woman with a calm smile. "Good morning," she said. "Ready for another day?" The rich woman nodded, though a hint of weariness showed in her eyes. "As ready as I can be," she admitted quietly. She had realized that this week was teaching her lessons she had never anticipated. Pride and arrogance no longer fueled her actions. Instead, she felt a strange humility growing inside her. The realization that every small task required Patience and skill was humbling. Anna began the day by guiding her through the routine, showing her how to balance multiple trays, take precise orders, and anticipate the needs of customers. The rich woman listened carefully, trying to absorb every detail, yet she stumbled repeatedly. She spilled drinks, forgot orders, and fumbled with utensils. Each mistake was met with frustration and embarrassment. But Anna remained patient, never judging, only guiding. "It's okay," Anna said gently. When the rich woman knocked over a tray of drinks, mistakes happen. Focus on what you can do next, and try again. Take your time. The rich woman nodded, realizing that patience was more difficult to maintain than she had imagined. She had never considered how much skill and endurance were required to perform this work efficiently. Every small task carried responsibility, every decision had consequences, and the patience demanded was more than she had ever faced in her comfortable life. Throughout the day, the rich woman began to notice details she had never appreciated before. The effort it took to keep a smile on her face when customers were rude or impatient, the precision required to manage orders and ensure everything was perfect, and the constant vigilance needed to prevent mistakes. She began to admire Anna not just for her skill, but for her grace under pressure. There was an elegance in her patience, a quiet strength in her endurance. By the afternoon, the rich woman's exhaustion was evident. She wiped her forehead with the back of her hand and took a moment to breathe. Customers came and went, some polite, some impatient. But each required attention, and she felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. Anna noticed the fatigue and offered guidance. "Keep going," she said softly. "You're doing better than you think. Every effort counts." The rich woman realized that she had underestimated the challenge. What she had thought of as simple tasks were in fact complex, demanding both physical endurance and emotional control. She began to understand why Anna had carried herself with such dignity. It was not effortless. It was the result of experience, patience, and perseverance. The arrogance she had once felt had faded, replaced by a newfound respect and understanding. By the evening, the rich woman was exhausted but more aware than ever of the lessons she was learning. She had faced judgment, mistakes, and frustration, and yet she had persevered. The physical exhaustion was matched by a growing mental clarity. She began to see that true strength and worth were not measured by wealth or status, but by effort, resilience, and the ability to treat others with respect. During a quiet moment, Anna approached her. "You've done well today," she said sincerely. "I know it's not easy, but you're learning something important. Hard work is more than just effort. It's understanding, patience, and respect." The rich woman looked at her, feeling a mixture of gratitude and humility. "I never realized," she said softly. "I thought it would be easy. I didn't understand the patience it takes, the skill, the dignity involved. You make it look so natural." I admire that," Anna smiled, a quiet warmth in her expression. "Thank you. I appreciate that. But remember, it's not about admiration. It's about understanding. You're starting to see what it means to value effort and respect others' work. That's the lesson." The rich woman nodded, absorbing the words. She felt a shift within herself, a recognition that her previous attitude had been shallow and self-centered. She had been blind to the challenges faced by others, assuming that wealth and status exempted her from understanding. Now she was beginning to see the world through a new lens. The billionaire, watching quietly from a corner, felt satisfaction. The rich woman was not fully transformed yet, but she was beginning to understand humility and the value of effort. Each day had brought small victories. She had endured exhaustion, faced challenges, and started to develop empathy. The patient guidance of Anna had been crucial, and the billionaire knew that the final lessons were still to come. As the day ended, the rich woman reflected on her experience. She walked home with sore muscles, tired hands, and a mind full of new insights. She thought about Anna, about the patience and dignity she had witnessed, and about the challenges she had faced herself. She realized that she had been given a rare gift, the opportunity to understand life from a perspective she had never considered. The following morning, she returned to the restaurant with a renewed determination. She was still nervous, still inexperienced, but she carried a quiet humility that was new to her. She listened carefully to Anna's guidance, followed instructions diligently, and tried to anticipate the needs of customers with sincere effort. The day was not easy, but each small success built confidence, and each challenge taught patience and understanding. By the end of the fourth day, the rich woman had changed in subtle but significant ways. Her arrogance had diminished, replaced by a growing respect for those who worked tirelessly to serve others. She had begun to see the value of patience, dignity, and perseverance. And she had started to understand that true strength was not in wealth or status, but in character. Anna observed the transformation with quiet pride. She had guided the rich woman without judgment, showing that patience, kindness, and understanding could inspire change. The billionaire, satisfied with the progress, knew that the final day would solidify the lessons learned. The rich woman had faced exhaustion, mistakes, and humility, and she had begun to appreciate the strength required to maintain dignity under pressure. As the restaurant lights dimmed for the evening, Anna reflected on the week's journey. She had stayed true to herself, demonstrating patience and grace, and had seen the rich woman begin to understand the value of empathy and respect. The lessons were taking root, and the final transformation was within reach. The rich woman had experienced the challenges firsthand and had begun to see the world differently. It was a step toward understanding, a step toward humility, and a step toward recognizing that true worth was not measured by wealth, but by character and effort. By the fifth day, the rich woman felt a deep sense of awareness she had never experienced before. The exhaustion from the work, the mistakes she had made, and the patience required had all begun to shape her perspective. She had been forced to confront her pride and arrogance, to understand the value of effort and respect in a way that no lesson or wealth could teach. It was humbling, challenging, and enlightening all at once. Anna arrived early as usual, her calm smile offering encouragement without words. "Good morning," she said gently. "Are you ready to finish the week strong?" The rich woman nodded, feeling a mix of nervousness and determination. She was still inexperienced, still learning, but she was committed to seeing this journey through. Today was not about proving herself. It was about understanding, absorbing, and transforming. Anna guided her through the morning routine, showing her the rhythm of the work, the flow of orders, and the subtleties of customer care. Each step required focus, patience, and kindness, and she began to move with a growing awareness of the effort involved. As the day progressed, the rich woman began to notice how much she had taken for granted in her life. She had lived in comfort, shielded from the struggles of others, and yet she had mocked those who worked hard for little recognition. Now, every spilled drink, every misplaced order, and every tired customer became a lesson in humility and respect. She began to understand that true effort required dedication, patience, and grace. Anna remained by her side, guiding her with gentle words and quiet encouragement. "Mistakes happen," she said, handing her a tray carefully balanced with drinks. "Focus on what you can do next, and keep trying. That's what matters." The rich woman nodded, her hand steadying as she balanced the tray. She realized that effort was not measured by perfection, but by persistence. Each challenge, each moment of fatigue was an opportunity to grow, to understand, and to develop empathy for those who faced these trials daily. She began to see Anna not as a servant or subordinate, but as a teacher, a role model, and a source of inspiration. The customers were unaware of the transformation taking place. They interacted with her as they would with any waitress, but to the rich woman, every smile, complaint, and request was a lesson. She learned to manage patience, to remain calm under pressure, and to treat others with respect regardless of their behavior. The arrogance that had once defined her demeanor was slowly replaced by humility and understanding. By the afternoon, the rich woman was exhausted, yet she felt a sense of accomplishment. She had navigated the challenges of the day, learned from her mistakes, and grown in ways she had never anticipated. Anna approached her with a kind smile. "You've done well today," she said softly. "I hope you are beginning to see what it means to value effort and respect." The rich woman nodded, feeling a warmth she had never experienced before. "I am," she said quietly. I see now that my past attitude was shallow. I mocked others because I did not understand their struggles. I didn't realize the patience, the skill, and the dignity it takes to work as you do. I admire your strength, and I'm grateful for this lesson." Anna's eyes reflected quiet satisfaction. "Thank you. But remember, it's not about admiration. It's about understanding and applying what you've learned. That's the true lesson." As the day came to a close, the rich woman prepared to leave. She walked with a new sense of awareness, humility, and respect. The arrogance that had once colored her actions had been replaced by empathy and understanding. She had learned to appreciate effort, patience, and the dignity of hard work. Every small task, every moment of exhaustion, and every challenge had contributed to her transformation. The billionaire approached her as she left, a quiet smile on his face. "You've come a long way," he said. "This week has been challenging, but it has also been enlightening. You've begun to understand what many never learn: the value of humility, respect, and effort." The rich woman bowed her head slightly, feeling gratitude. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "I've learned more in this week than I could have imagined. I understand now that true strength and worth are not measured by wealth or status, but by character and effort." He nodded, his eyes reflecting approval. "Remember this lesson. Carry it forward in your life. Respect and empathy are gifts you can share with others. You now have the opportunity to act with humility and understanding, and to inspire change through your actions." As she walked home, the rich woman reflected on the journey. The week had been exhausting, challenging, and humbling, but it had also been transformative. She had faced her arrogance, learned the value of patience and effort, and developed a deep respect for those who worked tirelessly without recognition. She realized that true growth came not from wealth or privilege, but from understanding and applying the lessons life presented. In the following days, the rich woman's behavior began to change. She treated people with more respect, listened more carefully, and considered the effort others put into their work. She apologized to Anna for her past mockery, acknowledging the dignity and patience she had shown. Anna accepted the apology graciously, recognizing the sincerity and humility in her words. Their relationship evolved from one of tension and mockery to one of respect and understanding. The billionaire observed quietly, satisfied that the lesson had been learned. The rich woman had faced challenges, experienced humility, and developed empathy. She had seen the value of patience, effort, and respect, and she was beginning to apply those lessons in her life. The transformation was not just in behavior, but in mindset, perspective, and character. Anna continued her work at the restaurant, carrying herself with the same grace and dignity she always had. She had faced ridicule, remained patient, and had guided someone through a journey of understanding. The week had reinforced her own strength and the quiet power of kindness, patience, and perseverance. The story concluded with a reflection on the power of empathy and understanding. The rich woman had learned a hard lesson, one that money could not buy and arrogance could not teach. True value lay in character, patience, and respect for others. Anna's quiet strength had made a difference, not only in the life of the rich woman, but in the way the world could be understood through kindness and empathy. The billionaire's role was subtle but essential, guiding the process and ensuring that the lesson was learned without malice. In the end, the lesson was clear. Wealth and status do not define worth. Effort, dignity, and respect for others are the true measures of character. The rich woman's transformation was a testament to the power of humility, empathy, and the enduring influence of those who live with grace and integrity. And as Anna continued her life, she carried with her the knowledge that her quiet strength had the power to inspire change. It's teaching lessons that money could never buy and arrogance could never replace.